Thank you, Chamberlain. We have with us in the studio Mr. Donald Ojogo, who is the Commissioner for Information and Orientation in Ondo State. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
You're welcome.
And welcome to our Abuja studios as well.
Very nice place. Thank
you. Indeed, it has been, it's been a long tussle now. We know that Ondo State was one of the states that could not meet the December 31 deadline given by labor leaders for the resolution of minimum wage. We know that you were able to set up a committee, though, so that conversation is ongoing. But so far, it looks like you have met a brick wall. 45 billion naira is what you say you need to be able to meet minimum wage demands. Is that true?
Well, I wouldn't know where you got those figures from. And the truth of the matter is that the 31st December deadline, yeah, it was given by Labour, but would it not have been proper if a deadline was given and government was in a position to go along with that deadline or to beat that deadline, or just to say, to please people that yeah, we are meeting the deadline? In Ondo State, we have not met any brick wall. I just have to correct that. Because both Labour and government have met several times, and on the 31st of December 2019, the last meeting took place, and everything in respect of the minimum wage has been concluded. So there was no brick walls from anywhere. What we are waiting for is the commencement of payments. Luckily for us in Ondo State, it's a very peculiar and very impressive situation. I say this because government brought all its documents, it was transparently done throughout the negotiation periods. The inflows, cash inflows, the cash outflows were tabled before labor leaders. And they understood the challenges of government prior to this issue of minimum wage. And let me also say that...
sorry, when you say that, would it not have been nice if governments were in a position to meet the deadline? What was preventing your government from being in a position to meeting the deadline?
Yeah, the problem was this. Well, we met some challenges on grounds when this government came on board. Government is a continuum. We have resolved not to review liabilities we met on grounds because government continues even after every successful administration. We met a debt burden of 220 billion naira when we came on board in 2017. And out of this, external debt profile was $72 million. We've been able to clear that to the level of 45%. Unpaid salaries of 7 months, we've cleared that. 6 months have been paid, just a month outstanding now. So those things are accumulated over time. And if you observed lately, from 2017 till date, there has not been any issue about payment of salary. Workers have received their salaries and wages and allowances as are when due.
So what are the issues right now? Are you under any constraints with the ability to pay minimum wage?
Yeah, the constraint cannot be different from all other constraints that every other state is facing.
No,
that is the truth.
I don't think that you should lump yourself up with
No,
other
we are
states.
not lumping ourselves.
If you have a peculiar challenge in Ondo State, wouldn't it just be,
we have no peculiar
to admit that you didn't have a challenge?
We must be upright to admit we face our challenges courageously. We are not having any constraint. We have resolved, and Labour has expressed and displayed an understanding that is uncommon with government. So it's not an issue at all.
Well, it doesn't seem like there is a lot of understanding in certain areas, because right now we have with us Mr. Adeleye on the phone. I think we're supposed to be joined by Mr. Eddie Olafeso, who's the National Vice Chairman of the PDP in the Southwest, but I understand he's been replaced, or Mr. Olafeso is not able to make it, so we have with us Mr. Adeleye on the phone with us. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily, if you can hear me. What exactly is the situation in Ondo State?
Good morning. Hello.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Adeleye. Can you hear me?
Hello. Can you hear me? Good morning.
I can hear you loud and clear.
Good morning. Yeah, good morning.
If you can hear me, Mr. Adeleye, I'd like to know what exactly is the situation of the payment of salaries in Ondo State?
In Ondo State, the government has retained us at when due. I must give it to them. And they made 7 months' salary unpaid, and they have paid 6 out of it. Which the last time we met was December 31st.
What is this?
And because of Christmas break and New Year break, we'll be meeting this week. And I can tell you our negotiation has gotten to what I would call 90% completion. So all we need to do is just to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. And I believe maybe in another few days, we should be signing an agreement with the government of Ondo State on the new minimum wage.
What is the 10% that is remaining?
Yeah, the 10% has to do with other sectors because what we are doing is holistic increment for every sector. What do I mean? The judiciary, the medical health workers, the civil service, the local government service, the primary school services, and all other tertiary institutions, because we want to do it in such a way that everybody will be carried along. So we've done about 5 of them, remaining just 1 or 2, which we believe would be done this week.
I don't know if you have been listening to the banter between the PDP and the APC in Ondo State. They are raising question with the debt profile of Ondo State. Is this something that also worries you as well?
Well, I wouldn't want to drag myself into the politics of PDP and APC. I'm a level leader, I'm a civil servant. But I think it's normal for them to have a banter between each other. But I wouldn't want to drag myself or the workers of Ondo into that.
Well, the state government says that they have been transparent with you concerning the revenue stream of Ondo State. Are you satisfied that given the current revenue, both from FAC and also internally generated revenue, that the Ondo State government will be able to meet the new demands of the current minimum wage which you're negotiating with them?
Thank you very much. I want to say this. For the first time, I've been in labor for almost 15 years. But the first time government will bring a real inflow. How do I mean by a real inflow? Before now, government will try to play pranks with the figure. And you know, as a labor leader, we are the civil servants that get all these things. So we had our figure before now. And when government brought theirs, and we compare with ours, we found out it is a correct figure. And I must tell you, the inflows were correct and the outflows. So that's why we are looking at that angle. So as a labor leader, reality is what is on ground now. And we cannot negotiate outside the revenue of the employer. And I can tell you one thing. By the time we put pens on paper, Ondo State will be one of the highest states in Nigeria. You have my word on this.
Is it true that there is a 45 billion naira need to be able to meet up the salaries and emolument of workers in Ondo State?
Well, I don't know where 45 billion is coming from. But I want to say this clearly. You know, there are about 6 services. And 2 of the services are not being paid by the state government. I mean, the local government services and this for them. And their pensioners, they're being paid by the local government. So I don't know where the 45 billion is coming from, monthly or yearly. So I want to say clearly here that there's no way 45 billion will be added to our monthly bill. What is the total budget for the year for Ondo State? Less than 200 billion naira. So I don't know where 45 billion is coming from. It's strange to me.
Okay. We have to, so you say that this week you will be putting pen to paper, is that right?
You will be putting pen to paper, is that right? Hopefully.
So the workers in Ondo State will hang on that hope. We have to thank you for speaking to us this morning, Mr. Sunday Adeleye, who is the chairman of the NLC in Ondo State. But let me quickly swing back to our guest here in the studio, Mr. Donald Ojogo, who is the Commissioner for Information and Orientation. Well, he has also corroborated that story there, saying that he doesn't know where the 45 billion naira is coming from. But let us talk about one area, which is where the PDP has raised issue.
Yep.
I don't know whether the Ondo state government has recently said they want to raise a 50 billion naira bond issuance. Is that correct?
Yeah, actually, it's not 15 billion. What we desire to rate is a 30 billion naira bond issuance. We are working on it. It has reached an advanced stage. Yeah, normally, one wouldn't expect the PDP to keep quiet when very conscious efforts are being made towards development in the state. We know what we met on ground. I just told you the 220 billion naira debt profile that we met. Unpaid salaries of 7 months that we have cleared. Local contractors who were owed so much, we have even been able to do that. We know what we are doing. Yeah. If you permit me to go back to the new minimum wage, even before linking it up with these bonds, you know, in Ondo State, even while 18,000 naira was the new minimum wage, ours was 22,000 naira. That is one. That was what we're paying. Even on the issue of the leave bonus, whilst other states lumped the leave bonus with the 30,000 naira minimum wage that they have agreed to do, we have separated both. We are going to pay the 30,000 naira minimum wage, and the leave bonus is going to be paid separately. That has been our culture. Now, coming to the issue of the issuance of bond, it is normal everywhere. I don't want to mention any states. I recall a state about a month ago went for a bond, very rich state for that matter, of over 200 billion naira. And these things are targeted towards development. We know the projects that we have embarked upon. We have been very ambitious in our drive towards development, and we know the liquidity status of the state.
I don't think that the opposition's job is just to raise objection for the sake of raising objection. Yeah. It's their job to also, I mean, it's your job to raise objection. It's your job to provide clarity, because of course there are genuine and legitimate concerns about, you know, states being plunged into debt that they might not be able to pay back. I think that's where the question is. You have already talked about the situation you faced on the ground when you came in, 220 billion naira in debt and 7 months unpaid salaries. That is quite a situation on the ground, and that was done by a government, so to speak.
I agree
so
with you.
Indeed, it is the job of whoever it is in opposition to be a watchdog, to be questioning what is going on in government. So the question right now is, where would you say your debt status is? Because I don't think you have finished paying the 220 billion. They say that you're owing about 111 billion naira. Is that the correct position?
That is not correct until they provide the evidence or the details about it.
The evidence is from the Debt Management Office. The figures are from the website of the Debt Management Office.
Yeah, is it the current administration that got into that debt, or the debt of the state in general?
You already mentioned that government is a continuum.
Government is a continuum.
Yes.
So what, let me tell you, ma, the truth of the matter is that we have a contract with the people. The contract we have with the people is not just to come into government, enjoy the perks of office and get out of government, even if it is going to be 4 years, or by the grace of God, it's going to be 8 years. We have a contract, and we have a responsibility as a government to make choices. There is no choice that does not have consequences or results. We have made a choice on behalf of the people that there must be development. It is left for people to go to the state and ascertain the level of development that has taken place in the states. Are we working or we are not working? If we are working, is it the Federation Allocation Account, the FAC, that have been able to bring about that much that we have been able to put in the states? Is it the IGRO that we met on ground, which was between 700 and 800 million, that we have been able to rev up to 1.3, 1.5 billion? Even that is not enough.
But what is the current debt profile of the state?
The current debt profile of the state is not what you have told me. The current debt profile of the state is not what the PDP is saying. They can say, they can bandy any figure.
What is the figure?
The figure is not known to me. And I don't think I will be here to, I don't want to be here to guess.
I do not know why it is
I won't
very
guess.
difficult for officials of government to talk about the debt profile of their states. I remember just last week we had a conversation with the Commissioner of Finance in Osun State, and he would not talk about the debt profile of the state. He would not give a definite figure.
No,
now we're speaking with the Commissioner for Information, who can give me very confident figures on the IGR, but will refuse to give me what the figure is for the debt profile of his state.
Well, I wouldn't say I don't have the competence to do it, but for obvious reasons, I won't say it, because figures fly from various sources.
Why wouldn't you say it? I mean, the PDP is already going about the figure.
What the PDP
you
is
say
saying,
it is not the actual figure. They have cited the Debt Management Office. I mean, I'm going to quickly go to the Debt Management Office's website. It's not a secret website. I don't need a password to get there. And quickly bring out the figure. I mean, and you can say, well, that is true, or we have just recently reduced it even further. If you knew that you had 220 billion naira in debt when you got in as a state government, shouldn't one of your achievements be what you have been able to reduce it to right now?
If currently, as you have said, as you have alluded, if currently the debt profile there is less than 150 billion. When we came into government, I told you that we met a debt profile of 220 billion. And you are talking about 110 or 111 billion. I wouldn't know the exact figure you mentioned.
Isn't that probable?
Yes, I told you that we reduced it.
Indeed.
When we came, we reduced it by 45%.
You say it is even further lower than that. That's what you seem to be arguing.
No, I'm not arguing about. Maybe you didn't get me correctly. Please, just get me right. I said, in my opening remarks, I said we've been able to reduce that debt profile by over 45%. Now, make your analysis. If we met a debt profile of 220 billion on ground, and within a space of less than 3 years, we've been able to reduce it by over 45%, then you should know what I'm talking about.
It means that the figure of the PDP is correct.
If it is correct, it wasn't the debt that we inherited. We are clearing the debt we inherited from that government.
So if...
by 50% at least.
If you know that debt is a problem and has hampered you in terms of being able to get off the ground, why would you want to take even further bonds to further sink the state into debt?
We are not sinking the state into debt. Bonds are not disallowed in governance. We are going to the capital market. It's business. People who have confidence in that bond will invest in it. It's a matter of confidence and integrity. That is just the truth of the matter. It's not an unusual thing that anybody will want to just go into. We are not borrowing money from the banks. We are not borrowing money from any other source. But we are going to the capital market to source for funds, and this fund will be channeled specifically. They will be tied to developmental projects. The projects are there. Look at the flyover bridge we are doing there. Would they say we are not doing it? Would the PDP say we have not changed the face of Accra in terms of infrastructure? Is the PDP going to say that we have not brought down a hill in Ikare and make it a dual carriageway? We need money for all those developmental projects. And until we evolve other means, other credible means of funding, no government, particularly in Ondo State, can do it. We are not as rich as some other states. So when they talk about that bonds, they want to tie our hands at the back and stay in the goalpost.
The question is,
do that.
I mean, you talked about changing the face of Accra in terms of infrastructure, which, you know, a lot of people say, yes, of course, why not? It's the state capital and all. However, there are questions as to whether you can pay back, whether there's bonds which you take have the capacity to pay itself back, or, you know, you are investing also in projects that can generate revenue for the state and help pay back the bonds which you are taking.
Well, this government is much unlike other governments. What we are doing is to ensure that there is a new direction in form of governance. We desire not to leave any debts by the time we are leaving office in the next 5 years. Because I say 5 years because the governor is going to run and win and come back. But after 5 years, our desire is not to leave anybody debt burden on the incoming government. That is just the truth of the matter. So the confidence we have in going for that bond is the same confidence we have that the bond can sort itself out within that period.
What projects are you investing in that you think will be able to, that will help sort the bond, will help sort the bond out, so to speak?
Yeah, it's the industrialization that is going on. We hope to raise our IGR. I told you it was between 700 and 800 million.
You said it's gone up to 1.2.
Yeah, it's gone up to even up to
1.3,
1.4. It's going, and we still want to be encouraged to rev it up. You see, taxes can only be paid where there is confidence in the government. Once the people, the governed, know they are open to what you are doing with what you are collecting in form of taxes and rates from them, there won't be any hesitation. There won't be any resistance. The people will be ready to pay. And I can tell you that in the next 1 year, we want to hit a target of minimum of 2 billion or 2.5 billion. Once we're able to do that, what stops us from repaying our debts?
In the next how many years did you say?
In the next, you mean about the bond or what?
No, you were saying something about paying back the
bond?
No, the IGR.
Yeah, the IGR. I said
IGR.
in the next 1 year, we hope to raise it up to 2 billion, over the 2 billion mark.
In the next 1 year?
In the next 1 year, yeah, because we are very hopeful.
I used to having a conversation on marijuana.
Yeah.
Is that conversation still going on with?
Very well, we are committed to it because people are merely looking at the social side of it. It was a deliberate misconception on the part of those who never wanted to hear anything about marijuana. I am not a fan of marijuana, but the business aspect of marijuana is what people don't understand. I read in your news, I watched a news item, your TV station, I think 2 weeks ago, where Zambia or Uganda declared so much profits that accrued from the export of marijuana medicine. It's not the marijuana, it's not the weed we are talking about. We are talking about the business aspect of it. What could come out of marijuana? We are wasting a lot. We are only what the people smoke. The weed we are looking at is a whole value chain. It's just an aspect of it which does not conform with our social norms and culture that we are talking about. We have lost sight of the business aspect of what about the economic benefits that can accrue from it.
So that conversation you say...
Yeah, we are going to pursue it vigorously. That is the truth of the matter.
Okay, it's a fine place to leave it. We have to thank you for coming on Sunrise Early this morning. Mr. Donald Ojogo is the Commissioner for Information and Orientation in Ondo State.
Thank you.
While Sunrise Early continues in a moment, please stay with us.